like your background. It looks good.
Oh, thanks. I tried to make it. I figured you guys are in Palm Springs and it's going to be colorful, so I tried to make my myself colorful too.
You look great. I'm glad we both are pink.
Yes, I love it. Thanks so much to you guys for taking the time today to talk to me about the film House of Cardin. I'm so excited to talk to you both about it. I'm Katrina Olson-Mottahed. I write for CalgaryMovies.com. I write movie reviews. I write for Rotten Tomatoes. And then I also have my own site, katrinaolson.ca. And then I'm going to introduce everyone to you guys. We have P. David Ebersol and Todd Hughes. And you guys are both of the Ebersol Hughes Company.
Yeah, that is us.
Okay. So what can you guys tell me about the film House of Cardin?
Well, it's been just like an amazing, wild ride. We are fans of Pierre Cardin. Mm-hmm. We collect his furniture. We have a car. The car in the movie is our car.
Oh my God.
And so we, when we went to Paris one time, we were hoping to just try to figure out, we found out that he was living, which we didn't know at the time. There's Fido.
Fido.
You know what, I'm going to have to shut her out or she'll keep doing it.
No worries.
But it was almost like divine intervention because we just loved him. We were in Paris and we saw the Pierre Cardin Museum, which was closed, but he had a shop. And we went in and this beautiful guy was working there and we were talking to him. We had been at the flea market buying Les Disques Pierre Cardin. He had a record label. And he
had a record label as well?
A record label as well.
So the guy so we're showing the guy at the store our car and our house. And he's like, oh, Monsieur Cardin would love to meet people like you. And we're like, wait, we've never even thought there was a real Pierre Cardin, right?
Yeah.
It's just a huge brand from the 70s.
We always say it's like Kleenex. Like you don't think there's a Mr. Kleenex.
Right.
And then, sure enough, we're like, how old is he? He was 95 at the time. And so 1 year later, no, 94. 1 year later, we went to Paris and followed his instructions on how to run into Pierre Cardin.
Yeah.
We showed up at his women's store at 10 a.m. dressed up. And we met Maurice Gaspard, who's in the film. Everyone in the film, we just proceeded to meet.
Yeah.
And 2 hours later, we're sitting with Pierre Cardin.
Wow.
Getting along famously. Wonderful.
And we were in Paris because our last film, Mansfield 66-67, look, props, was playing in Paris. It was at a film festival, a Tranche Film Festival.
Okay.
And so they mistook our enthusiasm for meeting Mr. Cardin with the idea that we were approaching to make a documentary. And then we just rolled them. Because we just wanted a picture for Facebook to impress our friends. And, look, we're with Pierre Cardin because everyone knows about our obsession.
Right.
And before we knew it, we were sitting and talking to him and he was asking us, what do you want to do? When do you want to start?
Wow.
And then as you see in the film, he's clairvoyant, right? When he met Gauthier, it was just like, you're hired. Philippe Stark, you're hired. He met the two of us and said, you're hired. And we think part of the reason he's never allowed a documentary to be done on him before, and we think he kind of liked that we were a couple.
Yeah.
Because no one's officially outed him. He's never officially come out.
Right. I was actually wondering about that.
You don't do that in France, right?
Okay.
He's part of this, but everyone knows.
Of his era, there was just sort of no need. And as it even says in the film, you didn't announce, well, here he is. This is my boyfriend. You just lived and you were, and people knew who was who. So it wasn't necessarily, especially in Paris, in France, in the fashion business, something that had to be done.
Right.
But because he's always said no to doing a biography, always said no to doing even like a written autobiography, never said yes to doing a documentary. He does like kind of 30-minute television profiles.
Right.
Where it's a new landmark, 50 years of creation, 60 years of creation, or Pierre Cardin turns 80, and then France TV does another 30 minutes, the same 30 minutes that they do every single time on him. And so, but he's never said more. He's never said yes to more than that.
And I think we out him in a very elegant way, right?
Yes, definitely.
Because he's bisexual.
Right.
Right? He's a frisky old man. And we were so worried when he saw it, like, oh my God, if we did anything wrong or say something like, and everyone was like, be careful, don't go too far. it's like we have to talk about it. But anyway, he loves the film, so
Yeah.
we clearly told the right story and did a good job.
Yeah. The first word that we got back was from Rodrigo, and he said, "My uncle said he loves." You know, it's broken English. My uncle said he loves, and everything is true.
Perfect. So you did your job as documentary filmmakers then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's odd working with the subject, right?
Totally.
Because we've worked with other people who want a lot more control, and Pierre he's so mellow, and it was just like, just go do your thing.
Yeah.
And he really had, you know, other people had a few things they'd like to be more specific, or this was actually this.
Right.
And Pierre, you know, he thanked us for being so thorough.
Yeah.
Right, for doing such a good job. So
yeah, there were so many things I didn't know watching the film. So one of the things was that he worked at Schiaparelli. I never knew that. And then went on to Dior, and Dior helped him open his empire. And then Jean-Paul Gaultier applied to be with him, and then he helped Jean-Paul Gaultier start his career. So considering he's had such a huge impact in the last 50 years of fashion, I was going to ask you guys, why do you think that he's not as prevalent as a fashion designer as Yves Saint Laurent or Karl Lagerfeld?
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, first of all, I think that that's an American perspective, which we have
Completely.
as well, which is that around 1990, he was very unhappy with the licensing that was being done here. He had conflicts with some of the people that he was working with, and he just pulled out of America.
And remember, he was the first to kind of do that licensing, and he got a lot of flack for it.
Yeah.
People said he cheapened his brand, and he was really hurt. And at that time, this is so interesting, around 1980, David Geffen and a consortium of investors came to him and said, "Are you ready to go
to the next level?"
And he said, "No, everyone's giving me so much criticism for selling out and this and that. I think I'd rather just hold on to my brand and do what I always did."
Right.
They went next to a young designer named Calvin Klein, who said, "I'll take this." And next thing you know, Times Square, you had the big guy in underwear and Brooke Shields. Yeah. And Calvin Klein was a household name. In Back to the Future in France, the film, when it's dubbed into French, because they didn't know who Calvin Klein was. So you know that thing with his underwear?
Yes.
She comes in, she's like, "Oh, Pierre." He's like, "Who's Pierre?" "Pierre Cardin, it's your name.
It's written in your underwear."
That's so cute.
But the other answer to that question is that in the past, I'd say, about 15 to 20 years, almost all of those major brands have sold out to corporations.
Right.
So the reason that everybody today knows Yves Saint Laurent and knows Gucci and knows Dior is that it's in every airport kiosk. It's got, Charlize Theron in the ads. They're everywhere.
But they're owned by huge corporations.
Right, like Kering Group and LVMH and right.
Exactly.
That have the bandwidth to get the word out. And Pierre is over it at this point. Right? He's done it all. He still owns his brand. He could still do anything with it. Yeah. But in China, he's huge.
Yeah.
In Japan, he's huge. In Russia, he's huge.
Yeah.
So globally, he's still huge. In North America, he kind of let go because he just...
Right.
And what we're finding is, and unfortunately our film is helping because it's driving up all the eBay prices, we're finding that he's becoming very collectible.
Yeah.
So it's that mid-century modern, groovy, 60s into the 70s kind of space age look, and suddenly everybody wants it. And so he's become very popular again, and the Brooklyn Museum show happened, right?
Yeah.
So he got a different kind of resurgence that's just been bubbling up. Right
We're
now.
hoping that between our documentary and the brilliant show at the Brooklyn Museum that Matthew Jakubowski curated, and there's another huge one in Dusseldorf, China's going to mount one.
Right, I did hear about the one in Dusseldorf.
Yeah.
A whole new generation, I think, is going to go, "Wow, this guy's amazing." I think his, like everything about Pierre, he doesn't do it like everyone else.
Right.
So he can have yet another wave,
Because even Courrèges has become trendy again, and you think, oh, well, they're so similar. Why isn't that happening in tandem? Courrèges got bought out by one of the major conglomerates, and so now we're being resold.
Right.
Right, or Paco Rabanne, they've just relaunched that, and it's fabulous and
Yeah.
chic. But that's LVMH.
Right.
Yeah.
With huge money
And on, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that's, because we were saying, even like, Balenciaga,
Yeah.
popular now. Nobody had heard of Balenciaga 5 years, maybe it's
Right.
5, not 10 years ago.
Well, when you see kids,
T-shirts.
when you see kids and you're like, nice glasses, oh, they're about man. You're like, do you even know what that means? Or you just paid a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that stuff resurfaced with pop culture again, right?
Yeah.
Just like the futurism. But another notable person who gave a first-hand account in your House of Cardin film was Naomi Campbell. And so I wanted to know, how was it working with Naomi? How was she involved with House of Cardin? And just any fun stories you have about that part of the film.
Oh,
all the rumors about her, as far as we're concerned, are just simply not true. That woman showed up on time, ready, gorgeous, nice, respectful. Yeah. Everything about her was just
cool. It was surreal because she's notorious for being late.
We're all shaking our boots.
And I remember we filmed at the Pierre Cardin Museum in Paris. It was July 3rd. It was so hot. And I was in the museum and I looked at my watch. It was 2:00. And I looked up and there's Naomi Campbell walking towards me. I was like, oh my God, she showed up on time.
Right.
And it all just went smoothly. She was the first, strangely enough, the first person we asked.
First celebrity.
Okay. Because she's the only one that wears vintage Cardin on the runway.
Okay.
Well, to events and things, you know what I mean? On the red carpet.
On the red carpet,
yeah.
Right.
So she will still wear couture Cardin and she will borrow it from the museum. And here's the really wacky thing, is that she and Cardin have never actually met in person. She's a huge fan.
Ah.
And the day that she came to film, he was going to come and say hello, but at 95 plus years old, it's day by day how he feels about whether or not he has the energy to do things like that.
Right.
So he ultimately was not able to show up that day. So they still haven't met. So we're trying to figure out through kind of the release of the film if we can bring them together. Maybe in Paris, there's a big premiere scheduled for September 21st.
Amazing.
If we're all allowed to do that.
She was the only celebrity that we could see that was wearing Cardin on the red carpet.
Right.
And she's one of the first Black supermodels.
Exactly.
So we thought she must really know everything about how Cardin diversified the runway.
Right.
So a double whammy of greatness, right? She was just...
Yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to ask you, because the film does address his diversity through archives and firsthand accounts with not just Naomi, but with also Dionne Warwick. And so with the models expressing how he always cast everyone multicultural, and that certainly wasn't the norm at the time. Was that something that was apparent to you guys when you went through the archives, or is it something that you had to write into the narrative to make it current for today's issues?
It was something we discovered immediately going to the archives. His muse, one of his first muses was Hiroko, Japanese model, not American, Japanese model. And he brought her over from Tokyo when he met her in 1957, and there had not yet been a woman of color on the runways of Paris. She was the first one. So it actually dovetails into his overall vision, which is that he's an internationalist, and he believes that self-expression, not just fashion, but the concept of self-expression should be for everybody. And so it was like, it goes hand in hand that he would immediately start thinking about, well, why am I only selling to the rich ladies of Paris when I could be selling to the whole world? And at the same time, I think that he was thinking about that he, unlike almost every other designer, comes from very simple, poor family. Mm-hmm. So usually designers are coming from the wealthy and the wealthy stock, and then they sort of, fall not so far from the tree and start dressing all of the women that they know. In his case, he came up from, being a boy who had nothing. So the idea of the world being broader was natural for him. Like, he just didn't look at the world as something that was only for rich white women. He thought, well, I know all sorts of women, so why wouldn't we think about designing for all of them and including all of them. And then that was because his other models that were his muses are from
Anjali Mendez was
right.
from India.
Right, and then
Cambodia.
and then there was one from Cambodia, and so some of it is just that his eye saw these women and said, "Well, why wouldn't they be considered beautiful also?"
Right.
When no one else was thinking that way.
Yeah, it's really admirable and wonderful to see in the film that he was such a visionary of his time.
And people followed quickly. You will see, like, look at
the next year, who Yves Saint Laurent imported a lot of Asian models.
Mm-hmm.
The next year, as Saint Laurent did, he always followed Pierre. After Pierre did it and got in trouble, then Saint Laurent would do it and get all this praise for it.
Right.
And I think that's where their rivalry really lies, in that he really liked him. It's Pierre Berger that he has the issue with, not Saint Laurent so much.
So how did you guys access and recover all the archived footage? Where did you get it from? And like, was there a lot of it, or did you have to really search for it?
Oh my God. There was so much of it. Don't forget, no one's made a documentary about this man, and he's 97 years old. He's got a career that started in 1945, and it's been documented, right? He's been on, we had that film of him at Dior.
Yeah.
So INA, the French Television Archive Institute, is so advanced, right? The French are much more technologically superior to us, but they have their database online, so it's billions of hours, and it's perfectly meta-tagged and all that. So we just had hours and hours and hours of footage, and we had to sit with people who spoke French because we don't speak French.
Right.
Okay.
Todd actually sat with a woman and watched all of the footage, and she just said what was happening. So we could tag it and say, "Oh, that's interesting," and then we'll get that one translated. And so we went through, I mean, hours and hours of footage, and also the Pierre Cardin archives. So we had full access to his archives.
Amazing.
Between all of those photographs,
which are not looked after, right?
Right.
We were like, "Oh, can we please bring in people and organize this?" And they're like, "No, just do what you need to do."
Right.
They're very private about this stuff.
Okay.
So it was really an honor, right? No one gets in there.
Totally.
And then in the 11th hour, we had a few holes, even with all this material, and Pierre Cardin himself sent us like 5 videos.
Right, that he said these should be helpful to you.
Oh, wonderful.
And one of them, what we kept searching for some way to help to make Andre Oliver, who is his, love of his life, and also his collaborator, we were trying to find something to help make Andre Oliver come back alive. He died in 1992 of AIDS, and so we were like, this is a character we'd like to just feel a little bit more in the film rather than just showing a few pictures of him. And Pierre sent us the video where Andre Oliver is talking.
Okay.
There is none. I mean, there might be somewhere, but we didn't uncover it.
Okay.
But further proof that the man is clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like that. Like, it seemed he had such a vision of things, even now with the architecture that you guys showed that he's planning, and his furniture design. It was like he dreamt of these things and then created them.
Yeah. He's so calm about it too, and so, modest.
Yeah.
What's so nice is he's not an elitist. He treats everyone the same. He can talk to a queen. He can talk to a homeless person with the same respect. And, his company really is how the world should be. You go in there, and it's empowered women running, most of it, gays, of course.
Yeah.
People of color. It's just a real wonderful rainbow world, how it should be.
Yeah.
And he's been doing that since the 60s, the 70s.
So how long did you guys spend on this project entirely? Because when I was watching it, I was like, I felt like this must have taken a lot of your life.
It was,
exactly.
We know exactly because when we were premiering at the Venice Film Festival, and you were sitting at the press conference with Pierre, surrounded by reporters.
And we had just finished the film. It was a wet print, right?
Okay.
We took it from the lab to Venice.
Right, to Venice. I got a ding on my phone, and from Facebook, which was our original impetus. I want a picture of Pierre Cardin, right? So from the first day that we met Pierre Cardin, it was 2 years to the day.
2 years.
To the day.
Wow.
And from the day we met him to the day that we premiered in Venice.
Huh.
Boy, were our arms tired.
Oh, I bet.
It was
I
complicated,
bet.
very complicated.
So in the film, we see Pierre Cardin as a multi-dimensional designer, from fashion to furniture to multi-licensing agreement distributor to patron of the arts and theater, and then to architectural savant. What do you guys think that he has left the most influence on overall throughout this, almost 100 years of his life now?
Well, the strange thing is he changed the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was the first to start diversifying the runway. That started a huge culture shift.
Right.
He was the first to make ready to wear.
Yeah.
To say, why can't everyone dress nicely? Why do we have to have class? That affected the world.
Yeah.
You know? So it's these things he did that have affected our day-to-day lives more than like a dress that he designed or a piece of furniture.
Yeah.
It's been this, he said the mission of a fashion designer is to change the world through the cut and the line. Right, a fashion.
And even the idea of furniture is a larger idea. I think the thing that we always found with working with the material and working with the idea of Pierre Cardin, the man, is that there was always an idea that lay underneath things. So it's not just furniture, it's the concept of lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's something that we're so used to, designers influencing the way that we live, the lifestyle, the way that things look. That somebody says in the film, it shows you have good taste.
Yeah.
Right. So you identify with the brand gives you back the feeling of lifting you up in life.
Yeah.
And he kind of invented that feeling and that concept as well. He didn't invent it, but he took it the furthest.
But he did invent, although no one knows it, millions of people today are label queens.
Yeah.
And Pierre Cardin is the reason for that. He was the first to say, here's my logo. It's not here, it's right here, so everyone knows.
That's right.
Right on your necklace.
But so he created that whole awareness that, I can afford good taste.
Yeah.
If I know what to look for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then, now everyone's like, what is that? Oh, it's,
Right. The famous Joan Rivers line, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
All of that comes out of what Pierre Cardin sold to the public.
Oh, it's Versace.
Yeah. That movie has made a huge resurfacing. It looks like a cult film. Showgirls?
Yeah. Our good friend, Jeffrey Schwartz, who we're kind of compadres in documentary filmmaking, he's making a new one. And what's it called? It's called
Goddess.
Goddess.
The Rise and Fall of Showgirls.
Yeah.
Oh,
the Rise of Showgirls.
I can't wait to see that one too.
It's going to be great. Yeah.
So what do you hope that your film will contribute to the history of fashion? Because I feel like, especially before I saw your film, I'd heard of Pierre Cardin, but I had never known any of the things that you guys illuminated in the film. So what do you guys hope that this will change for everybody who's seen the film in the narrative of history of fashion?
Well, first of all, we are Cardinophiles. And so we're excited that people are as excited about it as we are. Like, we love that his name is being carried forward, that at 97 years old, it's a tribute to the man's life. It's not a posthumous account, right? We're being able to celebrate him in his moment. And that Pierre could feel that and know that now, being two boys who just love Pierre Cardin makes us so happy, I can't even tell you.
They did say, he really perked up when you two showed up.
Aww.
Right? We gave him a reason to get camera ready. We did one about Cher's mother. It was the Lifetime Mother's Day special.
Oh,
but, it was great. She just celebrated her 92nd birthday yesterday. She was 87 when we were working with her, but Cher was like, oh my God, I catch her doing like push-ups. She's got a reason, to look good again. And this and
she
that.
said to us a very similar kind of compliment, which is that whenever she feels down, she puts in our film to watch it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And very similar like that. It's funny because I guess, as a filmmaker, you want the world to embrace your film, I guess. I mean, you want to make money, you want to get it out there and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, when you do these documentary films that are profiles of people, you really do care that it affects them, that they love it, that it feels good to what their legacy is. So that's like where I walk around a little bit like shoulders back, is that it's like, you know what, we made this movie about Pierre Cardin and he loves it. It makes him feel good, and that.
Well,
Like,
and we've never made a film this popular.
No.
Everywhere we've gone, people love it, and they want to bring their friends to see it, and they get inspired. That's what's nice.
It's very inspirational.
I could start sewing tomorrow, or I could learn French, right?
Yeah.
You just think, why not?
Yeah.
You've got a long life. He teaches you your life begins every day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for spending the time with me today to discuss your film, House of Cardin, which will be at the Calgary Underground Film Festival from June 22nd to 28th, streaming online. So people can buy tickets at Calgary Underground Film Festival website. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you so
Certainly,
much.
yes, it was fun. It was really fun.